Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Free Think Dojo. It is no secret, especially these days, that life is hard. Things are going to be thrown at you in multiple different directions, and sometimes it's hard to find ways to cope with it. Now, obviously, there's different ways to cope with hard times, but most of the time, people try to take the easy way out and go towards controlled substances. If you're like me, you probably have someone in your circle or near vicinity that smokes weed every day or drinks more alcohol than they should. And you're also probably someone that has partook in controlled substances before, as we all have. But in my personal experience, and also what I've experienced in my circle, I feel like it does more harm than good. So today in the Free Think Dojo, I thought I would talk about my personal opinions on drugs and controlled substances and how I think it can really mess us up if we get too involved with it over time. If you've been in the dojo for a while, or if you've watched any of my previous videos, you can probably already guess that I'm a bit of a health nut. Obviously, I don't go too extreme with my healthy habits and my lifestyle, but I do try to focus on longevity, and I try to do things to keep myself healthy and to stay away from things that could harm my body. However, I'm not afraid to admit that I've been around controlled substances in my life and may have partaken in it a few times as well. Luckily, though, I never fell into any addiction with any of the substances and never went into any of the hard stuff, thank God. But I went to college. Whether you went to college or not, college was literally the time where experimentation was key. You were supposed to experience things and get a taste for what is out there in the world. Because for most people, this is their first time out of the house and away from their parents. Now, obviously, this experimentation is not limited to controlled substances, right? College is about experiencing careers or creating relationships. But most of the time, when people are going to college, they're going to have fun. During my 4 years of my undergrad, I had roommates that smoked on the daily. I had people that were becoming borderline alcoholics. And I even had people that I knew from high school that when I found them later on in college, they were like two different people because of what they were experimenting with. But I can't really judge. I drank alcohol. I partied till 2 a.m. some nights. I was boxing one day in my boxing club and then literally going out after that until 3 o'clock in the morning, hanging out with friends, drinking at the bars. It was just part of the lifestyle. Because my roommate smoked weed, I feel like I had secondhand smoke inhalation pretty much every morning. And even though I partook in it just a couple of times with them, I actually hated it. Drugs and alcohol to me were always a party trick. It was something that people would do to become more sociable in events or to become more comfortable overall. And for me, it always seemed to cause more issues than anything. Luckily, though, after I got out of college, I pretty much strayed away from the party lifestyle. A couple years after, I partied with some college friends that I made, and as we were starting our careers, we would have some night outs and whatnot. But eventually, I just stopped enjoying it. To be honest with you, though, I'm glad that the party lifestyle and the drinking and the smoking lifestyle left when it did. Because when I started my career and I started to try and build my future and my future family, I didn't want those habits or those lifestyles to follow me into these life events. Because for a lot of people I know, they either are still stuck in that or they started later on in life. Most people that start doing drugs or drinking alcohol, it always feels like you're missing something. When I was drinking at the bars, I felt like I was not sociable enough. So when I would drink something, I felt like it would give me that liquid confidence in a sense to talk to people and be fun and energetic. And I totally understand that. But I've had friends and family that have either been in drugs for a long time or drank for a long time, and some of them that have only recently started those things. And it's really difficult because when it's personal like that, you start to see the effects of it all in a different way. Now, obviously, I do want to preface that I typically don't have an issue with things like marijuana or alcohol or even hard drugs. Obviously, they're bad. I mean, we've all grew up knowing that and went to school programs where they would tell us about how meth was bad and all that stuff, which I do agree with. But if a person decides to partake in a controlled substance or whatever it may be, that's their choice, and it's not really for me to judge. Coming from a science background, though, I know things like marijuana and the effects that it can have on a person's overall bodily function. And it's hard for me when it does become personal, because I have friends and family that do partake in marijuana use quite regularly. Now, here's the thing. Here's my hot take. Marijuana is not necessarily a bad substance. It's sold in residential areas these days, and for the past decade, I feel like people have done so much research on it that it really does prove itself that it is not an inherently evil substance that people should avoid, like meth or cocaine or something like that. Coming from a science background, I actually kind of understand it. Obviously, THC is a chemical. It's something that attaches to the receptors within your brain and in your whole body. So when these pulses are coming through these receptors, it's basically slowing the process down, which inherently is slowing down your entire body. For people that have things such as Parkinson's disease or even extreme anxiety, the medical benefits behind medical marijuana is actually quite remarkable. It does a lot of things and a lot of good things to benefit these individuals to help them kind of improve their quality of life. But here is where I have the issue. If you're just someone that has a little bit of anxiety or you're having trouble with a personal issue that could be solved in a different way, I feel like if you resort to THC to kind of inhibit and fix the issue for you, that's where problems start to arise. It's the same thing with cigarettes or alcohol. These things are addictive. And when you attach something like that to a personal issue or something that you're going through, it only enhances the addictive nature of the substance. This dependency on the substance is where I believe a lot of problems arise. And while we do have the medical benefits, those are only for really specific cases. So at the end of the day, the overall normal use of these substances, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, or cigarettes, or whatever else, most of the time it's just used by regular people that are going through hard times. Now, it doesn't have to be an extreme case, which I do understand. There are a lot of people out there that would be classified as just a normal person in society, but they maybe have such severe anxiety or PTSD or something within them that does not really set them to a level of like a terminal illness or like a huge medical marijuana case, but it is something that does improve their quality of life, and I'm a proponent for that. But I'll say this right now. If you're going through a bad relationship or your job sucks and you're trying to get another one, or maybe you have financial issues, the last thing you want to do is confide yourself within an addictive substance, because not only is that going to cost you more money to delve into that activity, but it's also just going to slow things down in your life. But that's going to be everything. It's going to slow down the process of getting a job. It's going to take away all your energy during the day. And the thing is I understand it makes these people feel good. It makes their problems disappear for that moment. But as soon as they come off of the high or they become sober again, those problems come flushing back in and were never actually resolved. And I think what makes it even worse is when it starts to affect people around you. I know people close to me that have kids, that have a decent marriage, that have a life that is not inherently bad for them, but they self-sabotage themselves by partaking in these substances. And when the kids start getting involved and the relationship starts breaking down because of it, just because you want this little bit of peace within your own head, I feel like there just has to be a better way to go about it. Overall, though, if you partake in any substance or alcohol or whatever it may be, you do you. I'm obviously not here to judge your way of living, and it's something if you enjoy it and you find benefits to it, go for it. But my personal opinion is kind of neutral. I've seen the good effects and the bad effects of substances, and at the same time, I feel like drugs as a whole is just a bad word, right? In society, everybody pulls you away from drugs and they run away from them, and they tell you that it's going to only screw up your life. And in a sense, I do believe that. Obviously, if you are having problems in your life and you're trying to find a solution, look elsewhere than the things that will get you addicted and not really solve your problems, make you numb to them. Definitely let me know down in the comments what you think. I would love to hear people's opinions on these controlled substances like marijuana or just alcohol in general. And if drugs has been an issue in your life, whether you personally or someone that you know, definitely love to hear the story and support in any way I can. Once again, though, I appreciate you guys sticking around for my rant in the Free Think Dojo today. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down anything below, and share the video with your friends. And I will talk to you guys next time.